everything is tied. Cuba, Haiti, New Orleans, Puerto Rico, all that is basically tied together to history
And through music, right? This
and to music. Yeah.
universal language that
Hmm.
is just part of our humanity.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of I Have Something to Say, where subject matter experts are unafraid and unapologetic about sharing their perspectives regarding issues that impact our lives. They speak up because basically they give a shit. So if you're tired of canned answers and want to finally hear real people cut through the BS and talk about real issues, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Sami Heyman Marrero from Urbender, and behind our mixer is our producer, Chris Majoka from UdoU.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode. And I'm very excited because we're going to be talking about a topic that doesn't get addressed as often as it should. And it's about culture and Afro Caribbean culture, rhythms, music that are embedded not only throughout Latin America and the Caribbean, but here in the diaspora in the US as well. And that actually unite us with the African American community and other right diaspora
Yes.
from African descent here in the US and across the world. And so I want to welcome Dimas Sánchez, a great friend, a steward of culture who's doing magnificent work and really preserving and teaching also, right? Afro
Yes.
Caribbean and Afro Puerto Rican beats to youth and to people of all ages to talk to us about this very important topic and his purpose and the projects that are servicing. And welcome, Dimas. You're a very accomplished musician. I'm very very excited to have you to have this conversation with you. Bienvenido. How are you?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Sammy. Gracias, gracias por todo. Yeah, it's a topic. Actually, we've been fighting with this topic probably since the 80s, and now we are getting into, into fruition to actually show the people all the rhythms that we have and the relation in the historical relation, and like you said, like the relation that we have, like for example, everything is tied. Cuba, Haiti, New Orleans, Puerto Rico, all that is basically tied together to history
And through music, right? This
and to music. Yeah.
universal language that
Hmm.
is just part of our humanity. And so tell me, number one, give me a little bit about your background and how you, I know that you were born, right, a musician. But how did you start? What were your early years, right? And how did you get into music and your trajectory and how you've become throughout the years as, a subject matter expert, really, in Afro Latino music and in other genres as well.
Well, I started studying music from early on, and I studied with a drummer in Puerto Rico. His name was, he died, Tony Sanchez, and Tony Sanchez was the drummer of a very popular orchestra in Puerto Rico back in the 50s. Cesar Concepcion,
Mhm.
and he taught me, how to play drums, how to read music, all that. Uh, and then through the years, I was really very curious about Cuban music, Brazilian music, um, or jazz music, and also about our Puerto Rican music. So I started studying, but then I noticed that there was not that many information about our music, Puerto Rican music. There is a lot of information about Brazilian music, Cuban, American music, but not that many from the side of Puerto Rican, Afro Puerto Rican music. So, but that time, my brother was playing with Jesús Cepeda and the grupo ABC.
Mhm.
So I asked my brother to to introduce me to Jesus, and that's when I started actually studying with him and playing with Familia Cepeda. Now, for the people to have a background of who the Cepeda family is, they actually been playing what is called bomba, which is an Afro Puerto Rican genre, for probably for like I would
I
say
think
at least two,
it's seven generations. Yes,
yeah,
for
eight generations now,
centuries. Yes,
eight
eight.
generation now is kind of like 200 years at least that we are talking about that, and the music itself, bomba, we know that have been around since the 1600s, that we know, because it's being a music that was played by slaves, enslaved people. uh, it was not documented well, but there are documents that actually prove that at least in the 1600s, bomba was present in Puerto Rico.
And this is the it's very instrumental, but also oral history. So there's
Yes.
singing and lyrics that speak about the lived experiences, right, of enslaved people that were
Yeah.
part of the transatlantic slave system, right? That took place here, right, in the Americas. And so it's the living history of the people, right? And talk to me about the origins of bomba, in really broad brushstrokes, right? But just to give a little bit of
Yeah.
context to where it
Yeah.
comes from.
Yeah. A lot of people, we did some studies, and a lot of people want to pinpoint a specific place where bomba started or came from. But I actually did some recordings with people from Congo, uh, uh, a percussionist player here, Tobos Lubamba, and I just started asking him questions and playing our rhythms, and he was able to identify four rhythms that we play in Puerto Rico as they are playing in Congo.
Mm.
And before, people knew that there was some Congo influence, Bantu influence, but this was very specific. He told me that we play that rhythm. It's called this way. For example, I play him a sika, which is one of our rhythms, and he said we call that chacho, and it's one of the accompaniments. I play him a corbe. That's another example, and he said that's we call that muyeti, and they also have some similarities in the dancing. It's not exactly the same, but for example, we the dancer those movement, and then the drummer actually will repeat the movement of the dancer. Eh, in Congo, that happens too.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah. And also I have found that the patterns of the bomba music are found also in another place. It's called in another music. It's called tumba francesa from Cuba,
Mhm.
and that that specific music has the particularity that it was because it's called francesa or French, because it was actually Haitians that moved to Santiago de Cuba, the eastern part of Cuba, and they have rhythms that are similar to us. And Puerto Rico had a Haitian influence too, because of the Haitian Revolution in the 1791 to 1804. Many of the masters brought their slaves to Santiago de Cuba, to New Orleans, and then to the uh, western part of Puerto Rico, places like Mayagüez, Aguadilla, etc. So that there is,
Wow.
yeah, there is a connection there.
Wow, that is super interesting. So when you're telling me, okay, that you see similar patterns and that you in your research you were able to uncover also how the drums are played in rhythm with the oral or with the dance movements, right? And also the oral history, that this is something that's taking place currently or in modern times, what we call modern times
Yeah,
in Congo and in Africa. Wow. So then it's lived on for all of these centuries, and
yeah,
it's still very prevalent. So I know that you made it your business to document and to actually write the music of
yeah,
all of the bomba genres, and that you finally got a grant to print this book that you've been working on. How long has it taken for you to compile all of this information and and really prepare this? I feel it's a masterpiece because it's a instrument to teach others, right? And to continue the tradition of bomba and the music of bomba, but more in a more formal way, because it's written. You actually wrote
yes.
down the notes and you can now read the music of bomba. How did you come up with this idea, and how long did it take for you to be able to formulate this into book format?
Well, I came with the idea because drummer, I have a lot of books about drumming, and I have a lot of books about Cuba, Brazil, jazz, but there are not that many from Puerto Rico. And the ones that I saw were kind of, I was not completely satisfied with the information. Um, Being the situation of Puerto Rico, particularly being a colony, which is what Puerto Rico is, uh, sometimes the history of us and more of the Afro Latino in Puerto Rico is hidden. It's not exactly publicized. So I said, well, we have to do this in three different ways. So the book contains a little bit of history of the genre, explanation about what the instruments are, the percussion, and then I wrote also applications for the drum set to put it into more modern times, like for example, playing jazz, funk, because I found that, for example, the funk that comes from New Orleans, it has a lot of similarities in the patterns that many of the rhythms that we play. So there is a
Mhm.
relationship actually with New Orleans too. So I started to work on this actually the summer before Maria. So we we are talking about 2017, and then I got together with Jesus Cepeda, and at the beginning, I was basically writing something like just for drum set, but then Jesus told me, no, we have to put some history, we have to put some more of the rhythms because there are many people that don't know. So we need a background, and that's how we ended up with the book. Um, Through the process, we got the grant. After we got the grant, it took like a year to actually receive the money. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a process, but one of the things that I love the most, that when we talked about this, when was it? Last summer. And you showed me the prototype of the book.
Yeah,
That really, like, I was like, wow, you took it to a whole other level with incorporating technology into experiencing
yeah.
the wealth and the knowledge that this book can deliver. And it's because you've recorded how to play on the. You're a master drummer. ¿Cómo le dicen al que líder de los drums? You're like the lead, right? Drum in
Yeah.
the bomba ensemble, right?
Hmm. The primo.
So
Yeah,
El primo,
yeah, yeah,
that's the right terminology, right? So the primo drum, which is the principal drum, or drummer. And so you took the recordings of you playing each one of the rhythms to showcase how the hands are placed, how to play it,
yeah.
and the difference between the different genres. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was that you were going to embed QR codes
Oh
throughout
yeah,
the book, right? That people
Yeah,
can have private access once they have the book to then get the tutorial, right, on YouTube.
yeah. For
Is that
example,
correct?
yeah, that's it correct. For example, I recorded about 3 hours of Jesus because to give a background to about Jesus to people, he's the son of Rafael Cepeda. He's been playing this music since the 1950s, since he was a kid. As a matter of fact, in the book there is a picture of him. He's been playing since he was 6 years old. So what I did, I recorded about 3 hours of Jesus, actually interviewing him about history of the genre, I also how the instrument is actually built, because he's a master, also builder of the instrument, also Rafael Cepeda. As a matter of fact, Don Rafael received uh, an award from the National Endowment for the Arts in 1983 as a master craft of the drums.
Wow.
So that's just Jesus. I also recorded a master drummer from Loiza explaining how the rhythms from Loiza, which are different to the rest of the island, how the rhythms of Loiza are played or were played before. And he had contact with people, I mean, people that were born in the 1910s, 1920s. So it's a really good information. Also, I recorded some instructional videos of me presenting the videos, how to play, how to put the hands. Besides that, Jesus did that also. Um, and then audio recordings about the people that doesn't know how to read music, so they can follow and hear how the rhythms are played. All that was done there.
That's fantastic. So you don't need to know how to read music then to
No,
learn how to play bomba. Fantastico. That's fantastic. This is so cool because do you feel like there's a resurgence and that because in Puerto Rico growing up, we used to hear bomba. I'm from the campo, right?
yeah,
We used to hear bomba during the holidays and it was like more during like big festivities, right?
yeah,
I know that here we're based out of Central Florida. That's how you and I met
yeah,
through La Familia Cepeda and the grand niece of Don Jesus, right?
exactly.
Who is here now giving classes, and you're part of Calinde, the big group that
Yeah,
tours and does presentations of bomba with the song and the dance and the drums and all of that. It's really fantastic. But do you feel that it's becoming more mainstream and more a year round
yeah, it does.
interest, that there's more of a year round interest in listening to, practicing, and displaying the art form of bomba?
Oh yeah, it does. At the beginning, when I started with the Familia Cepeda, we are talking about 1985, 1984, 85, 86 to 1990. Uh, at that time in Puerto Rico, bomba was almost gone. It was like it was to the risk that people were going to actually forget about that. But thank you to the work of Don Rafael Cepeda and Jesus and his family, they actually were able to compile. Actually, Don Rafael, who was born in 1908, so people have an idea, he recorded many of the information that he saw in those years in 19, well, let's say 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, about bomba and performers. So he recorded in notebooks all this history that we are trying
Mm.
to now. And then he actually wrote songs about the performers. So through the songs, he is actually telling stories about them and the places. So that's what is so wonderful about him, that he actually was able to preserve a lot of information through his notebooks, the songs, and also what he told us. So in the 1980s, it was almost gone, but it persevered a little bit, and then in the 1990s, people started to catching up. Like the young people, they started to catching up until the 2000s, and it actually has exploded in a way that I never suspected that was going to be like this, because now they play in Chicago, they play in New York, they play in Oakland, California, in Miami, here in Orlando, Tampa. They have a festival. Uh, uh, Even in Japan, I went to Tokyo, and I was able to give a master class to the people in Japan. They have a bomba group in Tokyo.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Diablo Marino. And the guy that coordinates most of that is his name. His name is Ito, but he lived a time in Puerto Rico, and he liked Mofongo, so his DJ name is Mofongo Ito. Yeah,
Yeah. And so okay, and so let's just keep it real too, right?
yeah,
The reason, do you feel that one of the reasons why in Puerto Rico, and it has to, I'm from Puerto Rico too, right? So I know, right? That bomba was kept aside or was not celebrated is because of colorism, right?
yeah,
And also because it's like a rejection of our Afro descendant roots in many instances. But the thing is, you can't deny it. I did my ancestry. When you mentioned the Bantu people, I say, oh, yeah, I've got it in me because I know, because me lo dijo.
yeah,
Ancestry.com told me, right, that I have from Congo and from the Bantu people and from Cameroon, right? Those are like the
yeah.
three areas in
I,
Africa, but there's this negation, right, for many years. And do
oh
you
yeah,
feel
yeah,
that now?
yeah.
Yeah, right, about our Afro descendancy. And so my question to you is, do you feel like we're breaking free from that? Because bomba in Puerto Rico has also become part of the la resistencia, right, of the resistance
Yeah.
and of protest. And so how do those things come into play, since you've been in it since the 80s as a young man, right? And seeing this transition into more mainstream now, and especially here in La Diaspora. So talk to me a little bit about that, right? Of how we've maybe grown or have been able to have a shift in mindset.
Well, yeah, it was really bad at that time, and basically there was a lot of prejudice. Now, even now, uh, I remember that Melanie Maldonado, she organized something in Puerto Rico in 2019, like she does like every 2 years. Uh, and we were in Arecibo, and we were playing, and came this lady with, her small kid, and we were playing, and she said, "Oh, come, hurry up. This is diabolic. This is demonic." And we still have to deal with, this misconception about bomba and prejudice about what the music is all about.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. And I love that you have been very intentional to finding that common thread with places like New Orleans, and that we have those common roots, that bring us all together. Are there any other highlights in your research that you could mention about that it's not only a thing of the diaspora, but here on American soil, right? On US, America, uh, that there has been, right, similarities or some kind of a connection as well.
yeah, well, the strongest connection is actually New Orleans, because we have to remember that New Orleans, that part of Louisiana, was French. They were Catholic too, and also they allowed the enslaved people to play the drums. The British never allowed the enslaved people to play the drums. So that's why you see that not many African Americans are actually hand drummers compared to the Caribbean, like Cuba, Puerto Rico. Haiti, etc. But in New Orleans, many of the rhythms that were playing Puerto Rico, at least the same name, when I went there, I found that they play, for example, Calinda, which they call it Calinda, but the name I saw written the same one, Calinda and Bambula. They call it Bambula or Bambula. Actually, Bambula I found through Togo. The Bambula is a word from Lingala, which is one of the languages that they speak in Congo. And we have a rhythm that is called Bambulae. So there are many similarities. And also in New Orleans they have the funerals, just funerals. And in Puerto Rico we have funerals too, and they are called Belen. So when a bomba practitioner dies, we have that Belen with music. And in New Orleans they do the funerals with music too. So there are all these similarities, and I discovered that in Ghana they do that too. Um, so and the clave, for example, they use the clave in a different way that we use it, but they have the clave like pa 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 pa, and that clave I found it comes from Ghana also.
Oh,
Yeah, I have some videos from YouTube that I found that somebody sent me, and sometimes the people don't know these things, but then I started listening. I said, wait a minute, that's the clave, and I also have a book from the rhythms in Ghana, and it's written, and there is no doubt about it. It's the same clave that people use in salsa and things like that.
that's fantastic. And so, you know what the beauty of this whole thing is that it's lived on, right? That no matter the oppression, the violence, the trying to strip, of identity, and yeah, and the yeah, all of these horrible things, right? It's
Are
still
happening.
lived on, and it was able to survive, and we have it today, and we're able to celebrate. And so how can we have access to this masterpiece that you've put together? And I know that you it's a collaboration, but how and when is it going to be available?
Well, it's available now. You can go to lulu.com. It's basically lulu.com. Lulu.com.
Uh-huh.
That's
Uh-huh.
that's where we publish it. And if you search in their website, Afro, at least put the word Afro. You can put Afro Puerto Rican and then we come faster, but Afro and it's there, and basically you are going to see the
The cover.
the cover. Let me see. Okay,
It's beautiful. What a beautiful cover. Yeah, it looks like a poster. I love it.
and for the people that speak English, you see the title in Spanish, but the book is in English and Spanish. Uh,
That's great.
yeah, everything is in English and Spanish. We are working now with the subtitles in English for the videos that we did. Uh, and now the video with Tobos is in English because that's the language that he is able to communicate with me, because he actually speak French and Lingala, but then we spoke in English for the video, and I put some subtitles in Spanish for the important parts of the video.
That's
But
fantastic.
yeah, we are working that. Uh, Probably by the summer, all the videos will have some captions about it. And also, I have to say that in terms of the videos, it's not only about people talking about history, but like, for example, Jesus playing. And also, we have a section about dance, the bomba dance. And we have Jose Cepeda, Jesus' son, illustrating how some of the dances were done before, Jose with Julia Cepeda, because it's a little bit different of what the people are doing now, and people are not very conscious about how what we did before. So all that
Yeah.
is illustrated in the book.
Oh, that's fantastic. Listen, this is such a gift to have this conversation with you, Dimas. I know we see each other all the time and that we're going to be, working together and at the community level, right? Because we're always finding ways to promote heritage and culture and make sure that we preserve and teach the younger generations,
Yeah.
about our roots. And so I just feel it's just such a blessing to know you and
Oh,
to
thank you.
and
You
to
too. Yeah.
finally learn that you've been able to bring to fruition this project that's been in the making for the last 6 years. And there's that you can never, how do you say, not only lose hope, but it's about perseverance, right, and
Yeah. Yeah.
determination. Yeah, and that's something that I congratulate you for reaching this huge milestone.
Oh, thank you, and thanks to you, for providing us, a space to actually do it. As a matter of fact, oh, we didn't say that the book is going to be presented in Casa Culture,
Yes.
March 3rd, 7 p.m. Right? Yeah, 7 p.m.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
so we are going to do a presentation of the book in Casa Culture, and we are also going to have music in the presentation. So,
Yeah.
so please come. For those that are listening,
Yeah.
if you don't
And
know
if
where
you're here
Casa,
in Central Florida, yes, if you're here in
yeah,
Central
if you're
Florida,
in,
actually, yeah, we'll
yeah,
include the information. Yeah. So, and if you're not from Central Florida, then fly in because it'll be worth it. It'll be a
yeah, yeah,
great
yeah,
presentation. It's gonna be
yeah,
fun. It's gonna be fun. And very educational, but and not boring at all. It's amazing. It's so great because you learn something, and you feel inspired, and you feel connected to each
yeah.
other, right, at a very very deep level. And I'm really thankful, Dimas. Yeah, I'm excited about March 3rd. I was so consumed with the
Yeah,
conversation I forgot. But yes, we're gonna be doing a book release on March
yeah,
3rd at Casa Culture. And so this is what it's all about. It's about supporting each other and celebrating, right?
yes.
Culture and each other's victories and milestones. So thank you so much for investing your time, your intellect, your resources, and your talent, right, into producing this, for generations to come to enjoy and learn. Gracias, Dimas.
Thank you. Gracias a ti, Sammy. Thanks to you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of I Have Something to Say, where subject matter experts are unafraid and unapologetic about sharing their perspectives regarding issues that impact our lives. They speak up because basically they give a shit. So if you're tired of canned answers and want to finally hear real people cut through the BS and talk about real issues, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Sami Heyman Marrero from Urbender, and behind our mixer is our producer, Chris Majoka from UdoU.